Okay, we're live there. Go live. Instagram takes so much longer for some reason.
What is it under on Instagram?
Women of underscore FWA, I believe. Go live. And we are live. Yay! Hey everyone. We have kind of a special guest to start the show off. Today we are going to be talking about gate operator service contracts. But before that, we are going to talk with Frank from Torxun. I did pronounce it right. I always think it's Torxun, but
Yeah.
Y'all taught me one day that I was completely wrong. And so I have Frank here today.
Hello, how's it going, everybody? Thanks
Yay.
for having me.
Okay, so real quick, Frank, this is just going to be a 5-10 minute interview. We were hoping you can give us a brief overview of what Torxun is all about.
Sure, yeah, Torxun. We are a full fabrication facility here located in Northern California, and we specialize in turnkey folding gate systems. So where you have issues where you don't have stacking area for slide gates or big, large swing gates, single panels, then we can fabricate the solution of folding gate systems for you. And also, we have turnkey pedestrian gate options too, to automate as well for ADA access and other fabrication services as well. So if you needed, single slide gates or swing gate panels, we could do those as well.
Well, what's so special about your AutoPed?
The AutoPed is fully outdoor rated, and it is the only UL listed product in the market right now. And it is readily available. There is distributors around the U.S. that has it in stock and ready for you, and as well as they can also be used on existing pedestrian gates. So you don't have to have a full pedestrian gate manufactured by us in order to have it installed.
Yes, I know Southwest Automated Security has some on the shelf.
They absolutely do. Yeah.
Probably Control Products.
Absolutely do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about Encon Electronics?
Encon Electronics, Gates and Controls.
Look at that.
Yep, and it's also available through Ameristar as well. So
nice.
Has it too. Yeah.
Very cool. So my next question for you is, are y'all doing any education sessions at the Fence Show and Security Expo this year, maybe to educate people on these products, installation, how it works?
Unfortunately, we don't have any scheduled education programs for this show coming up this year, but we are more than happy to have anybody buy our booth and go ahead and give them the lowdown on our products. And we will have full turnkey systems in the booth, fully functional, so that way everybody could see it.
Nice. Look, somebody's got one here in Texas. If you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to show your name, we'll know who this Texas user is. Nice. And then what is something we can expect to see at your booth this year at the Fence Show?
So we will have fully operational folding gate system and a pedestrian gate system to show you in full functional.
Very nice. That's super exciting. I have one last question for you, Frank. If we have anybody out there who has never used your product, would y'all be willing to go on site to help them install for the very first time, especially that tri-folding and bifolding gate system?
Absolutely. We have several customers that ask us if we could provide that, and yes, we can. We'll travel.
Nice.
Whatever the job at site is, we'll go ahead and travel across the U.S. to be with you and support you during your first installation.
I love that, Frank. I have to say that I have this guy on speed dial. Any questions I've ever had in the past, he's always answered for me. Tonya is also a great resource. It's a great company to work with, and we're so excited to have you at the Fence Show this year. And thank you so much for coming on. Next week, we are going to do a quick interview with Muck Tape, which I'm pretty excited about. So Frank's going to leave now unless he has something he needs to say before we go.
No, thank you so much. Any questions, go ahead and feel free to reach out to Torxun. You could ask for me, myself, Frank Bacosa, or Tonya or Dave. They're also available to support you too. So
great.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Frank. And I'm going to pull on the rest of the team now. Add Amanda, Veronica, and Garrett St. Germain here today, y'all. Hey!
Holla! Garrett, you're muted. Tell me you're new to a Facebook Live without telling me you're new to a Facebook Live.
Oh, man. Here go the stones. Let's start throwing them.
I'd like to point out that you volunteered to be a part of this craziness that you are about to experience.
I kind of got voluntold.
Well, we all did.
I have a really awesome superpower, and it's making people do things that they don't want to do, like start a FWA group.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
After I've been drinking, and
Awesome.
Good times.
Aw, Michaela's so sweet. I'm going to take off the ticker, but I'm going to remind y'all, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission so we can see your names. Okay, you guys. So after the show last week, which was a really great show, it was about, balancing motherhood and stuff like that. We went off screen, and me and Veronica and Amanda talked for a really long time about what Amanda's company does. I already know what Veronica's company does, but they do gate operators as well at JLH Fence. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that they don't do service contracts. And I almost started crying because Garrett is literally the reason why I have ever done a service contract live with any other podcast, including My Fence Life. And like the actual service contract that I share is created by Garrett. And so Amanda said that the biggest reason why they don't do them is for callback purposes. And I gave her some information on, having a good partner with your distributor who helps you grow that side of your business. And I think that's why me and Garrett worked so well, because he was one of my customers at SAS. But he created the service contract all on his own. And so I kind of want to hand it over to Garrett to kind of discuss your pros and cons of your service contract, and then go back over to Amanda to kind of discuss why they don't do service contracts.
Oh,
a lot of information all at once.
Yeah, a lot of people at once. We started doing service contracts really probably the first year after I got into, actually probably like the first 6 months, I got into being a full-time installer, went out on my own. I subcontracted for a couple different guys. They couldn't do it anymore, or they didn't have time to keep up with what they had. And at the end of the day, one of them wanted to sell his business, and there wasn't anything to sell besides a cell phone with contacts and a van. And
Right.
to me, that just made no sense. This guy started off at 6 figures, and by the time it was done, 10,000 was a great price to get rid of a cell phone. And I won't be buying a cell phone for that much. I talked to the guy and said, hey, let's go and meet these customers, because you got to have that relationship, right? That was, it just wasn't timely enough to go sit down with however many contacts he had in his phone. But I just saw no residual. I saw somebody who worked for 15, 20 years, built a business. You might make great income. Don't get me wrong. It's a specialty business that you can make quite a bit at, especially when it comes down to custom things. But to work that long and that hard to be able to really not sell it for what it's worth, for what you put into it, I just found that that's not where I wanted to end up when it was said and done. I want to build something that, even if my kids decide that they don't want to do it, it's something that when I'm done, we can sell, and we can travel, we can do whatever we want to afterwards, right? But to do that, it had to have something to stand on. So I just took out every manual of every operator that we put in, and I just went over and made a checklist. I think I actually emailed it to Susan, and she was like, "What the hell is this?" So I had to call her and explain it to her, but we did. We went over it, and then I kind of started fine lining. I spoke with another gentleman who's in the industry, and started kind of fine lining a mixture of what I thought should be done and what he thought should be done. And it really like it's grown to be an art. Like maintenance contracts in our business are phenomenal for us on this side of the world. I won't disclose any prices, but we do our maintenance contracts twice a year. So basically the first 2 weeks in January and the first 2 weeks in July. So they're scheduled maintenance. We go out, we check milliamps, we check voltages, we check everything coming from the safety devices. We check when the safety device is triggered, if it has the right voltage going to it. We have, as a courtesy to our customers, we no longer use the regular chain. We use coated chain on every install. It doesn't matter if it's a slide gate and it's got a chain. We're upgrading it for you. That has cut our labor time down so much, because if you don't have to start wiping grease off of rollers and trying to cake it off of a chain and off of sprockets. So really, I mean, our maintenance boils down to, I would say, probably 30 minutes at most, because it is routine. The first inspection does take a little bit longer, but after that, once we get everything to code and in compliance for our area, we do live in Louisiana. So once we get everything to where it needs to be, it's really just scheduled. There are provisions in our contract. So we do regular maintenance twice a year. But in the in-betweens, we do a discount for service calls. So if there is a service call, we don't carry a whole lot of stuff in stock. We have a C-can that has parts in it, but other than that, it's kind of job. It really is job for job. Like I don't like paying inventory tax. It's just really not my thing. And I think if I threw another thing at my wife to have to do taxes on, she would stab me. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
So let's jump over to Amanda for a second. Yeah. Why don't y'all offer service contracts? Let's kind of get into that for a second.
We had offered them, and we had customers that were on them. We would go out twice a year, which meant once in the winter time when it was nasty and we were sending guys out on slick roads. And to service them in the wintertime, it just stunk. And then the other time was during our busy time when we're slamming fence in. We had to pull guys off of putting fence in that was making us real money and go service a gate that really didn't need it. So it wasn't a good use of our manpower and our hours to do it, because it wasn't catching any problems for us. It wasn't eliminating them still calling us when they had another issue, because that issue would still happen later.
So Veronica lives in all the seasons. So what do y'all do? Because I know that y'all offer service contracts, and I know you have a snow season and a busy season like everybody else. Talk to us, sis.
So it's really about communicating with your customers and being able to set up those times that work for your business. We all know, especially if you're in the snowy climates, the spring is kind of a hit and miss. That you're either going to be balls to the walls busy and you're going to be like, shit, I've got all these service contracts to do. Or you're going to be grabbing every single one of those to keep your guys in the field and keep them busy. So a lot of it is communicating with your customer, and in your service contract, having some leniency for your schedule. This is something, do not tie yourself into every January and every July when you live in these kind of climates that you're going to get out there. Because you don't know what the weather is going to do. You don't know what road conditions are going to do. You don't know exactly where your crews are going to be. So when we really set up these service contracts, we've set it up on our schedule with that leniency and with that gray period. And then we also, it is our responsibility to educate our customers on what is a service, what is a repair, what is a time and material. You know, I had this gate installed and now I want to set up maintenance. Okay, well, let me look through my records. Did we install it? No. Okay, then we're going to charge you to come out at first to do a complete diagnostic of the gate, make sure that all of your safety equipment is there and operating the way that it should be. And once we get all this worked out, then we can talk about a maintenance contract. I am not going to put SWI's name on anything that we did not previously install or have inspected since install. Because how many people have run into installing gate operators at places, and then their maintenance man or whatever the case may be goes out there and screws with it or disconnects some loops and thinks, oh, it's not a big deal. SWI installed it, they can maintenance it.
Exactly.
No. So first and foremost is the education factor for your customers. Make sure that you're not locking yourself into unrealistic expectations, but make sure that you are crystal clear with your customers about what is the difference between a maintenance or a service call.
I totally agree with you. And like, actually, I want to say about 6 or 8 months ago, Garrett, didn't you come to me with tape that was kind of like labeled with your company name on it to kind of steal your gate operators? So, when you come on site for a service contract, has anybody been in it before you?
Yes.
Has anybody messed or tampered with it? Because how often do we find homeowners and maintenance guys and everybody thinks that they can just like reset it and they don't realize they don't have to open it to reset it.
Yeah, so you covered a good point as far as, if y'all didn't install it, there's going to be a fee. And actually, so we will discuss our maintenance contract with anyone who calls, whether if we install the unit, we offer our customers a maintenance contract during the sale of the unit. That way we can get that paperwork to them. They can be ready to go, sign off. When you sign one contract, you sign two, and we're moving, right?
Absolutely.
So when we get called for a call out that on a unit that maybe we have not installed, we ask them if we install it first. We ask them what kind of issues they're having. Then we turn around and we send them a copy of our maintenance contract. We'll go out, but we send them a copy. That way, when we get there, they know what to expect. Like, hey, we have this maintenance contract. This is our fees for coming out today. But if you read on our maintenance contract, it does state that we will not start a maintenance contract if anything is out of code or not correct. Those corrections will have to take place prior to a maintenance contract.
And that's where the communication between you and your customers and you and your team are really, really, really pivotal. Because this could take something that is not a liability of your company as far as, is it a warranty item or is it a faulty thing that now you've got to go back to the manufacturer? But this is really a matter of protect yourself and protect your organization while educating your customers.
That's right.
We have, and without saying a dollar amount, and you can imagine we service the entire state of Wyoming and we have 3 locations. So there are certain parts of the state that we're not in, but we get calls from our gate operator customers saying, hey, something's going on. Can you come up here? Absolutely. Let me get you on the schedule, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out to be a battery. Batteries are my favorite.
Mine too.
They're money makers like nobody's business. Oh, you needed some AAAs? I got you.
Right.
but
man.
You have to communicate and you have to make sure that you're setting those expectations for your customer. So some of these customers, they have absolutely no problem paying that battery invoice because they know in the long scheme of things, if something happens, we've got it.
That's right.
This is potentially something that could fall back on us, then voiding a warranty or voiding their service contract or, unplugging something that shouldn't be unplugged. It's plugged in for a reason. But it really comes down to you have to communicate, set the expectation, and educate your customers.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And so that kind of makes me ask Amanda, when you say that it was like a bad use of your installer time on fence jobs, do you have a separate gate department specifically, or is it your fence installers? Like, how many installers do you have at your company for gate operators?
One, mainly it's Jordan, which up until last year, he was running the office completely. Last year, I stepped into the office to help. And now we have 2 other guys in the office that we actually pulled from the field. So they're part-time in the office, part-time in the field, and hiring more installers for fence. So now Jordan will have a little bit more time for the operators. But up until now, he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off because there's just too many things to be chasing. So.
And when you're establishing a team like that, or you're trying to bring, people in and you're the only one, that is absolutely huge. And it is hard. It adds a whole new level of complexity to a scheduling or an operation to run smooth. We have, over the years, all of the people that we hire are installers, but we have people that have come in that we've noticed are maybe not excelling really on the fence line, but are so detail oriented and down to the tiny little nitpicky things. And that immediately starts flagging all of us that this person would be fantastic at gates.
Yeah.
No, that's so interesting that you say that, because that's literally how I found Garrett. He was a fence guy. Who was detail oriented, and I'm like, come on, man, I think you can do this. And he's like, I kind of like it, huh?
Yeah.
You tell his secrets.
Yeah.
But that's, playing into the strength of your team and their scheduling and what they're really good at. Another thing, and I'm going to say it, I've said it on these podcasts before, when working in cold conditions, ice fishing huts and gate operators are best friends.
Go hand in hand.
We don't know nothing about that down here.
We don't know a damn thing about an ice fishing hut.
But when you're dealing with snow and you're dealing with wind chill and you're dealing with the elements, being able to put an ice fishing hut over guys trying to wire. They make heaters that use your tool batteries. You can get little propane heaters. I mean, like, the ice fishing aisle is probably one of your best friends to make sure that you're keeping their hands warm so they can feel the wires. I can tell you that if my hands are cold, I'm not putting two wires together. And making sure that you're preparing your team for those elements. It's not unheard of for us to service contracts in the weather. It's not. But making sure that we're providing the tools for our team in order to do that efficiently and profitable.
Yes.
So we send out, like, all right, our contracts are January and July. So we don't we don't have snow here. I mean, we might get a slick road for like 3 days tops, and that's gonna be it. So for us to schedule is really not an issue. I am the gate guy, so my other guys, I can put them. Hell, I'll put them dropping in mountain pedestals or building fence or whatever. I'll find something for them to do for 2 weeks, because basically the way we have it scheduled, the first 2 weeks so we sent out an invoice to all our customers in December, letting them know, like, hey, your contract's coming, because it's year to year. So we send a contract out in December. Hey, if you want to cancel, let me know before January 1st. If not, you will be put on the schedule for next year and billed accordingly. So we send out invoices and a letterhead 30 days before. And basically what that does is by December 31st, we pretty much have a budget for what we're going to bring in on just contracts.
Right.
Right now we're bringing in enough to pay. So I mean, it works out good for us because we have a projection of our numbers for the coming year.
Garrett, are you willing to share a copy of your contract, your service contract?
Yeah, I can look at something. Let me look over it this evening, and I should be able to put it out.
And we can actually like block some stuff out if there's, obviously if there's pricing on it.
Pricing I would have to block out.
All of that we can block out for you. If you want to get it over to Susan or myself, we can make those edits before we release it onto the Women of the FWA website. So another thing that we do, Garrett, and I'm kind of wondering if you do it, is when somebody calls, whether if it's for a service, they've there's issues with the gate or if they're wanting to get a maintenance contract, SWI has created a 3-page form that everybody in our office has, and it has all the questions. Like how long has your gate been installed? Who installed it? What's the model? What's the serial number?
Yeah.
What have you done to it? Does it have any of these? And now a lot of times, let's be real, there's things out there that somebody starts asking me these questions. I'm like, I don't know. So then we're like, okay, can you go take pictures? Can you send this to us? So that way we can make sure that we are best prepared before we've even gone out there. And it's
absolutely.
20-minute conversation.
Yeah. So we have we've got a checklist that we give to our customers for maintenance contracts prior to us going out. Normally, if it's a call that comes in, the guy says, "Hey, my gate's not working," we can pretty much gather what it is over the phone if they tell us what's going on. We fixed enough of them, I guess you could say. So, I mean, if they call me and they tell me that their Patriot 1 or the Patriot 2 is not moving, chances are we're back to batteries. I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
Love batteries?
I love batteries.
Money maker ever.
And we'll have a customer go out, like we'll try to get them on a cell phone. That way they can go outside and tell us if there's a blue light or a red light, typical stuff that we can try to troubleshoot over the phone. We do our best to not go out because it does take time away. But for us to go out, it's probably a little more than the average person.
And troubleshooting with your customers over the phone, you've just built the best relationship.
Exactly. I try to save them every dollar I can.
Absolutely.
And they appreciate the heck out of it.
Yeah.
So Garrett, Amanda said the biggest reason why they don't offer service contracts is because they already have so many callbacks right after installation. Like, what is your advice to her and JLH Fence to basically start offering it and to how to monetize those callbacks? Like, when is a callback too much and when is it?
I'm going to tell you that if you're having a lot of callbacks right after installs, something's not being installed right.
So that's the bottom line. It's not so much right after, because Jordan will go through the operator with the customer, explain it all to them. But like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks goes by and somebody's in there messing with stuff because it didn't open fast enough.
So that's where you want to get on Sticker Mule. And you want to order some custom tape with your logo on it, and you tape the dust cover.
Yeah.
Or if it's something that's keyed, like I've got a set of keys for everything under the new AK11s, the old AK11s, the KPWs, Patriot, you name it, I've got a key for it right here in this truck.
Yep.
Take the keys and run. So that they cannot get in the damn box. That DFW, and once people realize that, then you're good. So if I have a call within the first 2 weeks, I'll ask the customer what's going on, and typically I make a visit. That visit usually tells me everything I need to know because they typically open the box and messed with the damn thing. That's why I put the tape on there, because once you break the tape, that's it. It's a wrap.
And that's not your fault.
You're
not liable for that.
Yeah, at that point in time. Yeah, at that point in time, your warranty through me is null and void. And you are getting charged a full service call price. So.
And I would agree with that. Company Cam, if you are using Company Cam, is also a fantastic resource. They are date and time stamped of how you left that operator. And I'll tell you, there is no magic little fairy that's going to get into your operator box and start unplugging things by itself.
Yeah.
Now we've seen boards go out and we've seen,
it happens.
we could imagine everything that's happened, and we know that, but things are not going to unplug. Things are not going to change settings. Things are not going to do these things on themselves. And a customer will argue and argue, well, I didn't break that tape. It was the wind, leave it to Wyoming. But it's really hard. You're laughing because it's true.
This is what I know from the sales side of things is that only 10% of products that come out of the box are capable of being bad out of box. That's a very small percentage. Very, very small. Now, don't get me wrong. There are bad batches. It happens. But here's the thing. 99% of manufacturers out there will send a notification through their distributor informing customers that they have, and we are going to fix it immediately. It is very rare. I've probably seen 4 in my entire lifetime of working with Southwest Automated Security. It is not regular. It is not normal. Now, sometimes boards go bad, but honestly, most of the time, boards go bad because there was a surge.
Yep.
Right. Yes.
It's a power issue.
Right. And at times you're like, I don't know what to tell you. I'll come out and we'll address it and we'll fix it. But this is not something that's covered under, warranty. And another thing, again, educate your customer is just because it might be a faulty piece of equipment does not cover the warranty of us coming out to fix it.
That's right.
So just having the right service contract that's CYA, and honestly, Veronica, if SWI was to fall down today and Garrett Powered Access was to fall down today and you never had another install for the rest of your life, could you live off of your service contracts?
Me?
It'd be a much more conservative lifestyle, but
really. Yeah. Well, I mean, we just picked up 5 more today, so
at the volume that SWI is at, and to continue that volume, no. I mean, we're a commercial chain link. That is our number one. Of course, we do tons of residentials. But at the same time, could SWI stay afloat if we really, really dug into it? Absolutely. And we had the right team to do those contracts. It really comes down to who you're having doing it. Are you scheduling those contracts in an efficient way? Obviously, if I needed to schedule a maintenance up in Gillette, Wyoming, which is up in the northeast corner, and my next service contract was in Rock Springs, which is down in the southern west corner, that is not being efficient.
No.
And that is not going to make you money. That is not going to be profitable. That is not a good use of your time. So making sure that your operations are planned accordingly and your scheduling. We do a lot of stuff, in Casper, Wyoming, we have several zip codes. Even our estimating team, they are not when they do their scheduling to go out and do estimates for customers, they do them by zip code. Our Cody team, they service tons of little tiny towns all the way around. And then they're like, okay, we're going to be in this town on this day, and we're going to be in this town on this day, and we're going to be on this town on this day. Now, that is a great utilization for their time. And you have to kind of take that same mindset and that same operation guideline when you're scheduling these maintenance contracts to make sure you're utilizing them. And once you get, like Garrett said, once you get the first one done, I mean, some maintenance contracts, you can be in and out in 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about, okay, let's slide a decimal point and carry a 1. If you're scheduling correctly, how many of these maintenance contracts that are profitable and you're estimating to take an hour to 2 hours, you're knocking them out in 45 minutes because you have a good relationship with this gate. And now you've doubled your profit for the day because you were able to schedule it and plan it accordingly.
Yep.
But having someone that's going back and forth between your fence line and your gates, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's one you've got to kind of pick your battles on.
Yeah.
Color gold is that tape. Absolutely. Company cam, document yourself, educate your customers.
Yeah. So we don't we do commercial chain link mostly for pump stations, boardwalk, energy, stuff like that around here. But really, I mean, our bread and butter is gate operators. That's what we do 5 days a week. I would say probably 48 weeks out of the year. And the rest of those might be a week where we go and do a good sized chain link project. So us scheduling isn't really hard to do those 4 weeks out of the year. Mainly because like we are diverse, but we're not as diverse as SWI, right? So we live in a little town called Sulphur, which is 10 minutes from Lake Charles, 2 hours from Baton Rouge. The next biggest town would probably be Beaumont, which is an hour away. So I mean, we within a 2 hour radius is pretty much what we cover. We cover Baton Rouge, St. Francisville, Alexandria, like the north part of the state. But really, our big maintenance contracts are like super local. So like we have a contract with the Calcasieu Parish with our school board. There's I don't know, I think 10 operators for the school board. So I mean, 30
And
minutes,
money.
and some of them have 3 and 4 operators on it.
Right.
I mean, what you do in 30 minutes or an hour can be what you pay a guy for 3 weeks to do a service.
And Amanda, I'm going to throw this out there, and not knowing a whole lot about JLH Fence is sometimes bringing on someone has a specialty in this. If you know your numbers and you're planning accordingly and you have an operations, they pay for themselves.
Yep.
If that makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Then,
we do not do enough operators to bring somebody else on. We just don't.
Yeah.
We're northern Michigan. So the largest city is.
And I'll tell you what, the next best thing for people that do gate operators in the climates that we're in is snow and ice.
Well, and here's the thing: you're saying that you don't have enough commercial projects to do service contracts. Here's the thing: residential people want they're about to make a huge investment. Having them, maintenance their product is kind of a big deal. Like, so there are opportunities there. It's just a matter of figuring out your customer, what their needs are, and how to make it work for them.
I mean, we're still going to service them. If they call us and say, hey, my gate's not working, we're going to walk them through it on the phone, see if we can fix it through on the phone. If not, Jordan or one of our other guys will go out and fix it. Or even if they're not even ours. He just went out to one yesterday. They had 20-year-old Ascos. Because it was
oh my goodness.
It was a neighbor.
Come out and put them in a
museum.
museum.
You call to help you at like, I lived in the house once that had an Osco, and it blew my mind because it was all like the little board, and I was like, oh my god, what do I do with this?
So he got it, but now we have a relationship with him, and he's most likely going to install 2 new operators.
Yes.
Because we went and fixed a 20-year-old that took him 10 minutes to do it, and he didn't charge him for that.
Yeah.
But now we're going
to about that relationship. I agree.
And those service calls are huge. Knowing your area, anybody that's familiar with, okay, let's back up. If you know where the state of Wyoming is, because Susan often does not, and know that Jackson, whole Wyoming, or Teton County, that is a very heavy celebrity populated area in Wyoming. And knowing your customers, knowing, where that group of people is. And even though it might be a bit of a day trip, to say the least, for us to make it over there, they also know we've earned their trust and we've earned their relationship to service their gates. So even if there's ice built up on the photo eye and Miss Smith doesn't want to go out to scrape it out, she's going to wait 2 days. She doesn't care. But she also knows that we're going to come in, and not only are we going to take care of that, but we're also going to go through and do a thorough walkthrough of her operator with the opportunity of SWI being able to upgrade her or to provide a maintenance contract or to be able to change out some operators that are maybe not doing things to the level that we know she wants them, even though she doesn't know she wants them. You know, so knowing your clientele, knowing your customer base, knowing the area, and if you're going to do maintenance contracts, limit yourself.
Yeah.
Hey,
Limit yourself.
Veronica, this is me texting you to shut it down.
Yeah.
Susan and her telling me to shut it down.
Okay, you guys. The last thing I'm going to say about service contracts is we are here to assist you in any way. So if you are interested in having more information, please reach out to any of us. You can even comment on one of these videos. I do check these comments regularly to see if we can assist your company in any way. But I know that service contracts are kind of lifeblood, whether you like it or not. They can help your company in the long run. Amanda, is there anything you would like to say before we shut down?
I don't think so. I would love to look at the contract that you have, Garrett, and we'll go over that and see if we can implement it into January Fence, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Veronica, anything you'd like to say?
I think this was a great live. Garrett, thank you so much for your time. Amanda, thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And bringing a different perspective to this. So it definitely makes these conversations super fun.
And Garrett, is there anything you would like to say before we close out today?
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Find time, fit it in, and I'm telling you, you may not have a lot of commercial projects, but like Susan said, the residentials, just do it. Advertise it, sell it, and it's one of those things that a business can definitely grow on, because where we're at now with our figures for maintenance contracts, it's really is phenomenal. So it's
Yes,
might be
agreed.
a headache at first, but once you figure it out, it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely.
Yes, like I said in the past, Garrett's kind of service contract layout is what I've used on my other lives. It has changed lives and companies and allowed you to diversify, which I think is really important for a company who is trying to grow. And Garrett is trying to grow. Veronica is trying to grow. Amanda is trying to grow. So if there is anything you need, please reach out to me, Susan@fencshow.com. I'll reach out to anybody on this team, and they will reach out to you in any way in their timing. Other than that, I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. You hear my kids jumping around? They're laughing.
In their timing, as in Veronica might take 2 or 3 days to get back to you.
On the blanket. He pee-peed on the blanket.
Come on, Mom.
We got a new dog and he pee-peed on the blanket.
Oh, no.
So I have to go, you guys. I think that's it for tonight. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
He
Okay.
already knows. He already knows.